May it be a good morning and a good day for Klal Yisrael. We should hear Besoros Tovos, Yeshuos, V'Nachamos. Of course, all of our hearts, all of our tefillos. Not on? All of our hearts, all of our tefillos, all of our thoughts and all of our wishes with our brothers and sisters in Israel, the members of the IDF. They should be successful in a sweeping victory in their mission. Which reminds me, right after Shir, as always, or as we've now begun to do, everyone's invited to stay. Tehillim Mechulak, we'll give it out. 30 people stay. It'll take just a few minutes to finish all of Sefer Tehillim as part of our Shir. And we continue to provide these flags for the cars. We're getting American flags as well. Let the cars represent our patriotism and gratitude to America and the U.S.-Israel relationship. And don't be afraid. Don't be defensive. Don't be shy. Everywhere you go, everywhere you park, every highway you drive on, be proud Jews and proudly stand with America and Israel. Parsha's Chayei, page 106 in the Art Scroll Stone Chumash. We remain, of course, grateful to our generous sponsors, Becky and Avi Katz and family, sponsored the Parsha series in memory of David Grossman. The initial was David Ben Menachem Monash. This morning's Shir is sponsored by Dr. Golda Sadowski in honor of Rabbi Yehuda Leib and Doris Kurtzer, her dear aunt and uncle. Wonderful people. We love the Kurtzers. And by Rachel Tepper, the Nishmas, Rose, Bas Avraham, Yaakov Alevi, Neshama Shalom and Aliyah. Thank you for your generosity. Chayei Sarah. The life of Sarah was 100 years and 20 years and 70 years. That was the life of Sarah Imenu. And we've spoken many times, as all do on this Parsha, why we begin in such a peculiar fashion. Why not just much more succinctly say Sarah lived 127 years? Why 100 years and 20 years and 7 years? I don't like math. I never liked math. I didn't like it as a kid. I don't like it now. I don't want to have to add up the numbers. Just give me the sum total of what it adds up to. And there are many interpretations. Rashi famously quotes that when she was 100, it's like she was 20 for Chait, and when she was 20, like she was 7 in terms of her beauty, and so on and so forth. The MIdrash tells us that Rebbe Akiva's students, I find this incredibly reassuring, that Rebbe Akiva's students were falling asleep when he was giving Shir. The great Rebbe Akiva. We say to ourselves, if we were in Rebbe Akiva's Shir for 1 minute, be wide awake, be listening so attentively. And yet the great Rebbe Akiva, there's as a public person, as a Rav, you draw strength from interesting places, like Mordechai. Mordechai was Ratzoi L'Rov Echav. They voted on Mordechai's contract. Shushan was up for extermination, elimination. Anti-Semites wanted to destroy it. Mordechai is the hero. He saves all of Shushan, and they have a vote. Are we extending his contract? And wouldn't you know it? He got a majority. He saved the whole Shushan, and he got a majority. So Rebbe Akiva is giving Shir, and there's people falling asleep right in front of him. Right in front of him. I once gave a Shir. Someone was sitting in the front row. They don't live here anymore. I won't embarrass them. It was mamish unbelievable. I never saw anything like it in my life. I was watching him doze and the head bob, and I was just watching it happen. And he fell into such a deep sleep, he fell off the chair onto the ground. When he hit the ground, he woke up and he jumped back up in the chair and tried to make it like nothing happened. And Baruch Hashem. That's why when I meet anesthesiologists, I say we have the same career. We're in the same business. So Rebbe Akiva, the great Rebbe Akiva, and his students fell asleep. So he thought, how am I going to wake them up? Some provocative idea, some thought-provoking, controversial comment, a joke that would have them roaring with laughter. Rebbe Akiva said, Sarah lived 127 years. Esther ruled over 127 medinos. Shoin, everybody woke up. That's what did it? So the Chidushei Harim, the Heilige Chidushei Harim says, what Rebbe Akiva was telling his Talmidim was, Sarah Imenu took advantage of every moment of her life. Every second, of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year. Her 127 years were full, were complete, were lived to their fullest. And you know what the result was? You know what that gave birth to? 127 medinos. When we utilize our time, when we elevate and enrich our time, then we mold and shape this world. We rule over medinos. We move the cosmos. The impact and the difference we make. What he was telling them is, why are you fast a shluf? How could you be sleeping? We're learning Torah. Do you understand the inestimable value? Do you understand the eternity? Do you understand the netzach nitzachim of every moment here and what we do with it? Esther merited to rule over 127 medinos because Sarah took advantage of 127 years. of 127 years. Later in the Parsha, we'll see that Avram Zakein Ba Bayamim. We'll see a few interpretations of it. But Avram grows old. Ba Bayamim. It's a very interesting expression or phrase. What does it mean? Ba Bayamim. He came with days. What does that even mean? The Zohar HaKadosh makes a comment. Ba Bayamim means that after 120 or 127, why can't it be 127? When we come upstairs, you know what escorts us? You know what is malave us? You know what comes with us or before us? Our days. They testify about us. Our diary. You know what goes upstairs with you? And the Rebbe Shalom says, Shah, Shah, Shah. Stop telling me how you lived and what you thought was important and what you valued and what you cared about. Just stop talking for a second. Show me your Google Calendar. Show me your Outlook calendar. Show me if you carry around one of those old school calendar. Show me a calendar. Show me your days and what you did with them and what you did in them. Show me how you spent your time and I'll know everything about you. Don't tell me. Show me. Our calendar testifies to who we are. The Avram Zakein Ba Bayamim, our days come with us. Our days come with us. So will they show that you binged watched Netflix? Will they show that you filled your time with narishkeit? Will you show that you schmoozed about nothing? Will they show that they were wasted? Or were they filled with meaning and purpose and change and transformation and an effort to repair and redeem this world at whatever age? Whatever age. It's a theme for no particular reason that we mentioned at the Parsha class. But even if you're retired, there's no such thing as retirement. Retirement is from your career or your profession, but you're never retired in Yiddishkeit from life. Adrabba va'adrabba. When your children are young and you're raising a family and trying to pay tuition, you're working for a living, is when you don't have time to do the meaningful things to fill your day that will come testify on your behalf. But Adrabba, Daf gets in retirement, that you can fill your day. Go to the shiurim and stay and say the tehillim and go check in on somebody and go spend time with somebody and go a volunteer opportunity and go take on a committee and go transform the world. Because Avram Zakein Ba Bayamim, our days come and they testify who we are and how we fill them and what we do with them and what we say. It doesn't really matter. What we say is not what's important. It's what we do is who we are. And what will reveal and what testifies to what we do? Nothing more than our calendar. Maybe our calendar combined with our budget. You know what goes upstairs for us? Hashem says, go sit in the corner and be quiet. I don't want to hear anything. Just give me your calendar and give me your credit card statement. And then I'll know everything about you. Don't tell me, Israel, I'm so broken. I can't sleep. I'm so broken. Really, it's funny. I looked at your calendar. You didn't make it to too much Tehillim. You didn't add any learning. I didn't see you volunteer your time to pack duffels. And show me your budget, your credit card statement, your financial statements. Oh, you were so bothered? I didn't see that you gave up some luxury to ensure that displaced families would have some money, that soldiers could have their goods and their needs. So Chayei Sarah 127 years. Rabbi Kiva taught Esther was Zocha 127 Medinos. Avram Zakein Ba Bayamim, because this is what testifies to who we really are. Back in the Rav Druck's newest sefer, Lahavos Eish, grateful to Rav Druck for sharing his new sefer with me. In his new sefer, he quotes this Rashi. Why 120 and 7? Torah is always succinct. The Torah says things as quickly as possible. Torah's real estate is the most precious that there is. So just say 127 years, why 120 and 7? To teach us at 100 like 20 when it comes to Chayei. She was so innocent and pure. At 20, she was beautiful as if 7. Balaturim and Parshas, wrong piece. Shnei Chayei Sarah. And the pasuk against Chayei Sarah. Shnei Chayei Sarah. Zog Rashi, what does it mean? Shnei Chayei Sarah. Shnei can mean years. These are the years of Sarah's life. Shnei can mean lives, multiple, 2, plural. So what does Shnei mean here? Says Rashi. Kulan Shavin Latova. They were all good. They were all equal in how good they were lived, how good they were experienced. Says Rav Druck, every person, every human being to be alive is to have periods of your life that are characterized by light, by goodness, by pleasantness, by joy. When a person is successful, when a person is celebrating simchas, when all is going well and good, when a person is healthy. But But there are moments that don't go so smoothly and don't go so well. And a person is struggling and a person is suffering and a person is frustrated and a person is disappointed. and a person is trying to navigate the darkness of their life, of this world. Ba Torah lashmenu b'pasuk shnei Chayei Sarah. The Torah comes along and tells us shnei kulan shavan latova. You think Sarah Imenu didn't have difficult years? If you think that, you don't know anything about Sarah Imenu. Because here's what we know about Sarah Imenu. We know that her husband locked her in a cabinet and said, pretend you're my sister. She was then abducted and almost raped by a powerful figure without consent. Sarah introduced hashtag #MeToo. She was the founder. She waited for years and years and years. All she wanted was children. She allowed her husband to take a co-wife. How magnanimous, how generous. And she waited and waited and longed to have children. She had a difficult life, a very difficult life. And yet, at the end of her life, the Torah testifies about her, you'd never know. Sarah Imenu's demeanor, her disposition, Sarah Imenu's attitude when you met her was, Sarah, how's everything? All good. Aren't you sad you don't have a son yet? Yeah, I'm frustrated. I wish I daven hard, but Hashem is good to me in other ways, and life is good. I choose to see the good and to be positive and to be hopeful. Sarah Imenu, no matter what was going on, they were shoving l'tova. We have days where our attitude, our approach is the pasuk in Tehillim, Mizmor Shir, lahagid baboker chazdecha. We tell baboker. Boker means the morning. In the morning, when you wake up, a bright new day, filled with opportunity. A bright new day, pregnant with possibility. A bright new day, hopeful and optimistic, and the sun rises yet again. And the sun is shining high in the sky. Bechinas boker, we have days in our life that are like boker. The sun will come up, and the sun rises, and they're bright, and they're hopeful, and they're wonderful, and there's clarity. I can see, everything makes sense. But there are other days that are filled with emunas chabaleilos. It's dark, the cloak of darkness. I have no idea what's happening. It can feel dark. We all have family serving in the IDF, whether it's immediate family, whether it's biological family, or whether it's family. I have a lot of family. I have 4 nephews and countless cousins, and one of my nephews is in Gaza, and 10 days ago handed in his phone. Hasn't been in touch with his wife or his 2 kids, or my sister and brother-in-law, because he's not alone. This is true for thousands and thousands. What do they find out? A nightly text from the commander of the unit. We're all alive and well. Speak to you tomorrow. A text. That's emunas chabalei. I don't know how she sleeps. I hope she's not listening to this. I love her dearly. I love him dearly. How do you sleep? You're raising your 2 little kids on your own without your husband. Bad enough he's away. You were able to FaceTime and talk and connect. And then 10 days will turn into 2. Who knows? And we know what's at risk. And we know the purpose of the mission. We know what's at stake. You know what that takes? Emunas chabaleilos. Close your eyes at night. The sun goes down and the sky is dark. And you know what's probably happening. And you know where your person you love, your other half, is going. And emunas chabaleilos, that's what you have. Hatkufa nirs chashucha, it's dark. Ach af yamim elu shavim em latova. For Sarah Imenu, her dark nights, her difficult moments, they were shavim latova. There's nothing wrong. They have to be navigated. Person has to find strength. Chalila, we're not judging or criticizing somebody who's struggling through these difficult times. But Sarah Imenu, her greatness, when we reflect and think about her, the emunas chabaleilos, kulan shavim latova. Good years, bad years, good day, bad day, joy and success, failure and disappointment. You never knew because you ran into Sarah. Sarah was a big smile. This pasuk in the morning, Zara Zarecha, a person sows their seed, and in the evening, don't give up, don't take away your hand. When you wake up in the morning, Baboker, the sun is high in the sky, you have clarity, and you can see, and it all makes sense, and it all feels wonderful. Plant your seed, grow and blossom, transform that world. But la'erev, at night, when that world gets dark, when that sun sets, when you have no idea what will be and what is, when you're haunted, kasha lahamin b'kadosh baruch hu, it's difficult to believe. Af bezman zeh al tanach yadecha. In this moment, al tis ya'esh. A Jew never gives up. A Jew never despairs. A Jew always lives with hope. Yesh is, there's no yesh, it's shalom midas. Ein sham yesh ba'olam klal. Ela tishtadel hachzik be'emuna kama sheyoser. Person has to dig deep and live with the emunah. That was Sarah Imeinu. When you say, how am I going to get through this? And I can't get through this. You say, I can. You know how? Because there's a piece of Sarah Imeinu, a piece of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in each and every one of us. We carry their DNA, and we have their resilience and their strength and their tenacity, and we can, and we have the ability of a Sarah Imeinu. This is the greatest thing we could say about it. Kulan shaven latova. All equal. All were good. Emunah is what carries us. We had the great schus last night, sitting right here in the spot. We'll get the video out. The Gerah Rosh Hashiva of Shaul Alta Shlita was here. What an incredible night. And he spoke about this emunah. He quoted the serenity prayer, believe it or not. That's how he began. Give me the strength to accept what I can control, let go of what I can't control. And then he said, but that's not, he put the Torah spin on the serenity prayer. And he spoke about emunah and living with emunah in these times. And emunah is not something that's on a shelf. It's not the Pesach dishes. You don't pull it down. Emunah is the way that you see the world and that you feel and you understand what's going on. He said such a beautiful idea that we know from Chazal, Hashem always sends the refuah before the makkah. Hashem always sends the healing before even the challenge. How was the refuah before the makkah? He said, when did this terrible tragedy happen? We just marked the Shloshim. It happened on Simchas Torah. In Israel, it was Simchas Torah. What's the day on our calendar that the most Jews are all equal? We're dancing in a circle where everyone is equidistant on that circle. Where Jews are taking each other's hand and dancing in a circle equidistant. And it's not just that the Chashuv one gets the Aliyah, and the Rebbe gets Shlishi or Shishi, and the big donor gets Revi'i, and this big Kohen gets cut. Everybody gets an Aliyah, and everybody dances in a circle, and everybody's equidistant. What's Simchas Torah? It's Achdus, and it's equality. And that was the refuah before the makkah that we would need to get through this. He already, on that day, the refuah, what we would need in order to get through it, which is the unity that we're seeing, that strength, it happened, refuah before the makkah. He didn't mention, but I read a couple days ago, that among the intelligence that they uncovered in Gaza was that the original plans for this were on Pesach. This Hamas attack was scheduled for Pesach. But it was, for whatever reason, Simchas Torah, the refuah before the makkah, we dig deep and we have to find that capacity for that emunah. He has much more on this here. Rav Druck, the Gemara in Brachos says, Chayei v'adam levarach al hara kishem shemevarach al hatova. Gemara in Brachos Nandala, a person has to make a bracha, dayan ha'emes. One loses a loved one. One loses a fortune. You had a business deal turn sour and you lost a fortune of money. There's a bracha to make. You make a bracha, dayan ha'emes. And that bracha, kishem. You have to make that bracha, Chayei levarach al hara kishem shemevarach al hatova. Shneimar v'yahavta Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha. The Gemara quotes a pasuk. How? Because you have to love Hashem b'chol levavcha. What does b'chol levavcha mean? With all of your heart. It's not what it means. What does it mean? All of your hearts, in plural, with an S. B'chol libecha would mean with all of your heart. But it doesn't say b'chol libecha. It doesn't say with all of your heart in the singular. What does it say? B'chol levavcha, with all of your hearts. Plural. Plural. What do you mean plural? How many hearts do you have? Your heart has 4 chambers, but you only have 1 heart. So why does it say hearts? Because we have 2 hearts. You have a Yitzhar Tov, you have a Yitzhar Hara. You have the Mavarach al Tov and you have Mavarach al Hara. Says the Gemara, Machai Mavarach al Hara, Kishem Mavarach al Tov, Ilam Kishem Mavarach al Tov, Hatova Meitiv, Kach Mavarach al Hara, Hatova Meitiv. Is do you think you make the same bracha, Hatova Meitiv, even when something goes wrong? The Gemara says no. Hatana al Basiras Tov, Hatova Meitiv, al Basiras Raz, Omer Baruch Dayina MS. Amarava lo nitzracha el lekublinu b'simcha. What it means is, not only do you have to have the attitude, when everything is right, you never hear anyone say, when their child gets engaged, why me? Why me? They get a raise, a promotion. They tell the boss, me? Why me? Why me? They say, me. Yeah, me. For sure, me. Me. I deserve the simcha. I deserve the raise. I deserve the vacation. I deserve everything working out. Yeah, me. And then when everything goes wrong, why me? It should be him. It should be her. Why me? So kashem means with the same way that we realize this was designated for me, this simcha. I've davened, it was my time. This is what's right for me. Whether I understand it or not, whether I'm deserving of it or not, this is what's right for me. This raise, this promotion, this simcha, this news. Kashem, even when things go wrong. Sarah v'yogon emtza v'shem Hashem ekra. And Druck goes more on about this. But the Kashem, who lived that Kashem? Sarah imenu. Shnei Chayei Sarah. Kulan shavan latova. She fulfilled, her life was characterized by Kashem. She had the same bracha ala ra and ala tova. She had the same attitude of, I just like I don't question when I get the good news, the simcha, I won the lottery, I got the promotion. I don't question when I run into a obstacle, a stumbling block, a struggle. Equally accepted, it's equally designated, it's equally meant to be from Hashem. We've discussed in the past, Sarah dies, Avram comes, Vayava Avram l'spod l'Sarah v'liv kosa. What order should it be? Do you first cry and then eulogize? Do you eulogize and then cry? Usually you cry, you hear bad news and you cry. Then you compose yourself to deliver a eulogy. When it came to Sarah, Avram delivered a eulogy and then he cried. Why? And his crying, his tears were unusual. They were a small chaf. Liv kosa is a small chaf in the Torah. Look in the Chumash, small chaf. He limited his tears. Why? Toxic masculinity. Avram Avinu. He had to show that he wouldn't cry. It's okay. Today you'd say, Avram, it's okay. Cry. Be in touch with your feelings. It's okay to cry. Why is it a small chaf? It's okay to cry. Avram didn't know it's okay to cry. And how does he react? Vayakam Avram me'al panei meso. He gets up. Vayakam. Klal Yisrael get knocked down. We rise back up. We are right now in a tekufa of Vayakam. Vayakam me'al panei meso. Meseinu. We are right now in a tekufa. We're following the footsteps of an Avram Vayakam. To get back up. How does he get back up? What's the next section? He buys a grave for Sarah. He negotiates with Efron. We'll see in a moment. And what does he do next? He buries, Sarah dies unexpectedly, shockingly. Cause of death? Scared to death. Because someone told her the wrong way. We learn from here the right way to tell news. What they should have said is, Sarah, your Yitzchak? He's fine. He's okay. He's happy. He's healthy. He's good. But listen to this crazy story that almost happened. Instead, someone came along and said, Sarah, did you hear? Hear what? Avram took Yitzchak. Hashem told him to kill him on an altar. He brought him up to the mountain, put him on the altar, lifted at night. Before he could get to the punchline, Sarah had a heart attack and died. So you learn how to tell. You always call your parents. They're fine. They're okay. But they broke their leg. They're in a cast. They'll be fine. You have to know how to tell. We learn how to tell the news from here. Sarah, he died. Avram buries Sarah. What's the very next thing he does? What's the next thing he does? He finds a shidduch for Yitzchak. Because what does one do? How do we bounce back? Vayakam Avram me'al panei meso. How do we bounce back? We're not scared. We don't run away. We don't cower. We don't give up. We don't turn in the towel. We don't say it's over or turn off the light. What do? Next shidduch. Continuity. A future. A new bayis ne'eman b'Yisrael. That's our answer. That's the antidote. The answer. Avram loses Sarah so prematurely, so abruptly, so suddenly. He loses his other half. He loses his better half. What does he do? You know what? The future. We need to build the future. I mentioned last week about the Holocaust survivors who didn't talk about the Holocaust for 30, 40, 50 years. Never told their children about it, only opened up to their grandchildren. Why? Because until they knew they had a future, they couldn't talk about the past. Have to have grandchildren. They have to before they can talk about the past. So Avram, what's the response? Vayakam Avram me'al panei meso. Time to go find a shidduch for Yitzchak. But first he's got to bury Sarah. And this is a difficult negotiation. Rabeinu Yonah says this is the test. We thought the last test was last week. Asarnas Yonas Nisnaso Avram Avinu, he was tested 10 times, and we thought that the Akedah, certainly the most challenging, the hardest of all the tests, we thought it was the final test. Says Rabeinu Yonah, no. You know what was the hardest test? Maintaining his composure, even while having to negotiate with an Efron Hachiti. A duplicitous, lying, snake, sleazy. And yet, Avram maintained his composure. He made a Kiddush Hashem. That was the final test. Vayishma Avraham and Efron, vayishkol Avraham and Efron, it's kesef, asher diber bazne birches, 400 shekel kesef, over la socher. Efron charges a excessive amount. And Avram says, I'll pay it. You know, where do we learn kesef kedushin from? Today we get married. There are 3 ways the person could get married. We only use one of them. Kesef, we use shava kesef. The man, the chassan, gives the woman, notice I didn't call them a boy and a girl. They're getting married. Hopefully they're not a boy and girl. They're getting married. The man gives the woman a ring, to shove a kesef, the value of money, and says, she accepts it, she receives it, and they are hereby betrothed. They are hereby married. Where do we know that if a man gives a woman an item of value, they're married? Where do we learn that from? Where does it say that you can create marriage through transfer of something of value? So the Gemara in Kiddushin, just made a siyum on Kiddushin Daf Yomi and Seder Nashim, but in the beginning of Kiddushin, the Gemara learns, Kicha mistei Efron. Vayikach, the pasuk says that when a man gets married, he takes a wife, and it says that Avram buys the field from Efron. So we learn marriage from this parsha, this negotiation. That is the least romantic thing I've ever heard. Where do we learn that a man and a woman who are in marriage and want to live their lives together and build a future and have children and create a destiny, that they can create the marriage through the transfer of value? Because Avram had to negotiate with this used car salesman, sleazy, low-life Eisvarf Efron. That's where we learn it from. So there's a lot of Vortlach and Divrei Torah. I'll give you one for your grandchildren, Sheva Brachas. You know why we learn it from here? Because you know what Avram and Efron had in common when they finished this negotiation? Each one thought they got the better end of the deal. Each one felt, what a steal. What a deal I got. Avram said, Mara Samachpela, from my Sarah, where I will be with her for eternity, with the rest of the Avos and Imos, 400 shekel kesef. What a bargain. Efron said, I can't believe that Ivri paid me 400 shekel kesef for this cave. Wow, did I make out well with this? Each one walked away thinking, I got the better end of the deal. And that's our bracha, the chassan and kala, is that each one should feel, boy, did I marry up. Boy, did I get a better end of the deal. Boy, did I luck out here. Boy, am I fortunate and lucky. That's why we learn it from here. We also learn, Avram could have said, you know, I took care of Sarah her whole life. I paid the credit card bill from the department stores, the mani-pedi, bought her flowers every week. I took care of her whole life. Housekeeper at home. I took care of, she took care of me. I don't save the email. She took care of me too, but I took care of her whole life. All right, Efron wants to charge. That's excessive. There's no way I'm paying that for real estate. I'm done. But you know what Avram says? Till death do us part. I'm with to the long haul. We're inseparable even in death. And what do we tell the chassan and kala standing under that chuppah? Kicha mistei Efron. You know, you're going to run into a roadblock. Life's going to get hard. Why do we break a glass at the end of the wedding? Because even before you leave the chuppah, we want to show you that things are going to break. Right now, they're amazing, and they're perfect, and they're adorable. Isn't he sweet? Isn't he cute? Isn't he amazing? Sheva brachas. They're the greatest couple that ever happened, the greatest people that ever lived. They're the great. Everything's amazing. Everything's great. Hey, great people, before you walk away from your chuppah, things are going to break. Things are going to break. And what are you going to do then? When something breaks. So we tell the couple under the chuppah, kicha mistei Efron. Where do you learn about marriage from? That Avram Avinu was in it all the way till the end. Even after Sarah was gone, he spared no expense to give her the proper burial. Because that doesn't mean there aren't times then divorce is also a mitzvah. There are times that divorce is also a mitzvah. There are times. But the chassan and kala under the chuppah, their attitude should be, we're in this like Avram and Sarah, through Mar Samachpela, to kicha mistei Efron. That's how long we're in it. This is not, we'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. I turn in my car lease every 3 years. I upgrade my phone every 2 years. I do my whatever every couple of years. We'll see if I like this model of a wife, of a husband. Maybe I have to turn it in. Maybe I have to exchange. Maybe I'll have to upgrade. Then don't get married. If you're already thinking about, I'll give it a shot. I'll see how it goes. We'll try it. And if I don't like this model, I'll upgrade to the newest model. If that's your attitude, don't walk under the chuppah. Because if you walk under that chuppah, kicha mistei Efron. Only step under that chuppah if you're confident that you're in this all the way through to kicha mistei Efron. So Vayishma Avron, he hears Efron, and he takes the 400 shekel kesef, and he's Vayishkol Avron leEfron. If you look at Rashi says, Efron's name in this pasuk, Vayishkol Avron leEfron, Efron's name is missing what letter? Vav. It's missing a vav. Because Efron overpromised and underdelivered. Chazal tell us, say little and do much. You know what? Efron was one of those people who said much and did little. We all know in our lives the two types of people. There are two types of people in this world. There are the people who don't say anything, but they get a lot done. The people who talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and when the push comes to shove, it's time to put up. I can't, I would, I wanted to, and more ma'at v'aseh harbe. Chazal say, talk little and do much. Efron was a more harbe v'asa ma'at. And because of that, shenato b'men eshkolin gedolim shein kantarin, nemar ovel asocher, miskab mesheka b'chol makom, yesh makom sheshkolin gedolim shein kantarin. Yesh love and wonders of Druck. Madua nexar me Efron os. Why do we take a letter out of his name? Name mahutzio davkes ha'us vav. And if you're going to take a letter out of his name, why the letter vav? Now, that question is not so compelling because there weren't a lot of options. If you take the pay out of his name, it's Eron. If you take the resh out of his name, it's Ephon. Like, the only letter that's disposable is vav. So that question is not so compelling because it's the only disposable letter in the name was the letter vav. You could spell it malay or chasa with the vav or without. But the question is, why is this midah keneged midah? Efron is some low-life, big talker, over-promising and undelivering, so the Torah records his name without the vav. Why? Why? Says Rav Druck, Yesh levar shematzina begemara ksubis, shemavares haposek, v'atem adikim Hashem lekechem chayim kolchem hayom. The Gemara says, the Gemara in Ksubis tells us we have a pasuk. And the pasuk tells us that a yid should live their life being davak to Hashem. Meshech Chochmah says, how do you fulfill dvekus? Dvekus, cling to God, cleave to God. What does that mean? So you know what the Meshech Chochmah says it means? What is the word devek in Hebrew, modern Hebrew? Glue. V'atem advekem Hashem Elokeichem. Dvekus, glue yourself to God. Attach yourself to God. We use this in our vernacular. New kid comes to school, middle of the year, transfers in, has one friend in the school. What does that friend say on the first day? Stick with me. Stick with me. Sit with me in the dining room in the cafeteria. Sit next to me in class. Stick with me, you'll be fine. Stick with me, you'll be fine. Hashem says, "V'atem advikim Hashem v'keichem." Be like glue. Stick with me, you'll be fine. That's dvekas, says the Meshech Chochmah. Zokt Rav Meir Simcha of Dvinsk. How do you fulfill dvekas? Dvekas is Hashem saying, attach yourself to me. Devek, glue. Stick with me, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But the Gemara wonders, the Pasuk says Hashem is an all-consuming fire. You're going to attach yourself to the omnipotent, infinite creator of the universe who is an all-consuming fire? Is it really possible? Ella, says the Gemara, how do you fulfill the mitzvah of dvekus? You know how you fulfill dvekus? Marry your daughter off to a Talmid Chacham. Marry your daughter to a Talmid Chacham. Find a good shidduch where the son-in-law is a Talmid Chacham. I would even suggest it. Marry your son to a Yiras Shamayim, a righteous woman, in both directions. Do business with Talmidei Chachamim. Mahana Talmidei Chachamim. Take care of Talmidei Chachamim. Lavish Talmidei Chachamim with gifts. Take good care of them. Take good care of them. So when you do that, you're attaching yourself to the closest thing you can to the Shechina in this world. We don't have Shechina in this world. And we believe that human beings are all fallible and they're mere mortals. But the more one masters Torah, the more they're married to Hashem, the more they can finish Hashem's sentences, the more they can represent Hashem in this world. So the closer you can come, Dvekas, Devik, attach yourself to Talmidei Chachamim. You know, we learned Davka from this Parsha. Yafa sichashan shel Talmidei Chachamim. The Torah takes an enormous amount of real estate and space in our Parsha to tell us the whole story of Eliezer. Conversation, the shidduch, going, coming, repeating. Why? So much space, so much time for an event of history. It's not a halacha. Why? To learn from here. Do you know how valuable even the sichas chulin of Talmidei Chachamim? Not only the shir, not only to learn the Torah, but to shmuz, the opportunity to sit in the office, ger Rosh Yeshiva, opportunity Thanksgiving weekend. We'll have Rav Shechter back every year. Mirz Hashem should be Zalzayin gesund and stark. Thanksgiving weekend, the opportunity, not only the formal shiurim, but the conversations in between. So the Gemara says, how do you fulfill dveikus? Can't attach ourselves to Hashem. He's an Eish Ochalai, he's an all-consuming fire. What's the closest we can come? Find righteous people. And I would expand this to say, I don't think it's so radical. Find righteous tzaddikim v'tzidkanios, men and women. How many people visited Reb Chaim, got a bracha from Reb Chaim? I know that many years ago, when I was at Karen B'Yavna, you got a quick bracha from Reb Chaim. Who did you enjoy Sichas Chulin with? Rebbetzin Kanievsky in the kitchen. Not only the young seminary girls, I was a young yeshiva bacher. You go get a bracha from her, and she would shmooze. Righteous men and women. That's to be medavik b'shchina. But one of the examples the Gemara gives is ose prakmatya l'talmidei chachamim. Favor, doing business, commerce with talmidei chachamim. With talmidei chachamim. V'nei le'efron haya efsharos lehidavik b'shchina. Shari yachol asos prakmatya im talmid chacham lehenas talmidei chachamim nechasav. Ephron had a perfect prime opportunity to fulfill this doctrine of Hatam Advikim Hashem Elokeichem. Avraham Avinu, the spokesman of ethical monotheism. Avraham Avinu, who's radically transforming the world, introducing the belief in the one and only Hashem, and he comes to you to buy your real estate? Give him a discount. Give him off. Certainly give him a fair deal. Run to take care of him. Avram, don't come to me. I'll come to you. I know you're just getting up from Shiva. I'll take care of all the paperwork. I'll take care of the realtor fee. I'll take care of and I'm giving you not only the market value, I'm getting you even a better deal because I have the chance for an Avram Avinu for who you are and the difference that you're making. But instead of doing that, what does he do? He extorts Avram. He makes him overpay. And because of that, he loses the letter Vav. Why the letter Vav? Hotzas was Vav mishma b'shnei ofan. Ba'ofen echad yesh lomar ki oz Vav hu Vav hachibur. Haya efsharos l'schaber lidavik b'shchina. The letter Vav, more than any letter in the alphabet, the letter Vav is the Vav hachibur. The Vav is what creates attachment. The Vav links this and that. The Vav means and. The Vav creates connection. Efron had the chance to connect, to cling, to cleave, to fulfill dveikus, if he would have done the proper business deal with Avram. He didn't. Because he didn't do pragmatia with the Talmud Chacham, he lost the letter Vav, he lost the Vav HaChibur, a beautiful insight of Rav Yisrael Meir Druck in his new sefer, Lahavos Eish. Ephraim forfeited the letter Vav because he forfeited the opportunity to do pragmatia with the Talmud Chacham. We all want Hashem, we want a connection with Hashem. And we can. But we can also connect with the closest we can get to Hashem. I say in the Amunah Shir all the time, and it's not my own thought, I forgot where I first read it or heard it. You know, the example, sometimes you lose a connection on your phone. People panic. No Wi-Fi, no connection. They panic. I have to be connected. And you're in a place that you have no connection. And then you find somebody that you're with, they're on a different service, and they're connected. What do you say to them? Please, could you turn your phone into a hotspot? Turn your phone into a hotspot so I can connect through you. Sometimes when it comes to connecting to Hashem, we have no service. We have no connection. We have no bars, or we have one bar, and we're struggling to connect. When you come to a Talmud Chacham, when you host a Talmud Chacham, when you sit and drink at the feet of a Talmud Chacham, when you enjoy even Sichas Chulin of a Talmud Chacham, they become our hotspot. We can connect by attaching to them. That takes the letter Vav, takes a chibur, takes a connection, it takes a dveikus. It continues Rav Druck. The letter Vav also can be understood ubo tidbak. Because he didn't take care of uvo, the Vav, uvo tidbak, he lost the letter Vav. Okay, Torah continues. Now, as I mentioned earlier, how does Avram react? He loses his loved one Sarah. He spends time negotiating with his lowlife. He buries her, inters her properly. What comes next? Perach Avdalad Pasuk Aleph. The Avram Zakin Baba Yamim Hashem Berachas Avram Bakol. And Avram was old, well on in years. That's how the Art Scroll translates. Avram Zaken you understand, Zakana Chachma, he's older. He started to collect Social Security. Avram he got a discount, at the movie. Zakein ba bayamim. And what is ba bayamim though? That's a funny expression. Ba bayamim. So we already said the Zohar. Ba bayamim means our days come and testify how we filled them, what we did in them. And Avram's days testified well. Hashem be'erech Avram bakol. Hashem blessed Avram bakol. What does it mean he gave him everything? What's the bakol that he gave Avram? So Chazal say, doesn't mean a son. We already know he had a son. He already had Yitzchak. Doesn't mean a daughter. Bas. Bakol. Gematria, he had a bas. He had a daughter, does it mean? What does it mean, bakol? We know that this bakol is something special that Avram has. Avram takes the kol that he has. Whom does he give it to? Yitzchak. Who does Yitzchak give the bracha of kol to? Yaakov. We say this every time you bench. Bakol, mikol, kol. Bakol is this pasuk. Hashem berach Avram bakol. And with Yitzchak it says he gave him mikol. And with Yaakov it says bakol, mikol, kol. Kol. So what is this kol? What is this treasure? What is this bracha? What is this gift that Avram had? He gave it to Yitzchak and he gave it to Yaakov. There's an advertisement for that expensive watch. To take Philippe, I don't know how to pronounce it even. I don't know how to pronounce it. I have no taiva for it, and I can't afford it. But there's a great ad. It says, you never own one, you just hold it for the next generation. I don't know why that's a great ad, because every family only ever needs to buy one. I would think it would say, you love yours, buy one for every member of your family. But they don't need my opinion, they didn't ask my opinion. It's a great ad. You never own it, you just hold on to it for the next generation. So this kol is a bracha that Avram has, and he just watches it and protects it to give to Yitzchak, to give to Yaakov. What is it and why do we want it? We ask Hashem, we say in the end of benching, Bakol, Mikol, Hashem, give us a piece of the kol. Bakol, Mikol, kol, give us some of this kol. What is this kol? What is it that we want? What is it that they had? We spoke about it in the past, you can listen online. But this year, Avram Zakim Baba Yamim, the Gemara Bab Metzia Daf Peizayin says, Ki ad Avram lo haya zikna. Why is the Torah here testifying? Avraham Zakein Baba Yamim. Is it good or bad being a Zakein? Both. The answer is yes. It's good and bad. On the one hand, we daven. We say in Slichos, we say on Yom Kippur, Atashlichenu le'zikna. Never consider me a zaken. Don't dismiss me. Don't give up on me. Don't fail believing in me. Don't let me ever see myself as a zaken who's done, who's finished, who's complete. Got to always be hungry, always moving, always growing. Best is always yet to come. On the one hand. On the other hand, Torah here seems to observe fondly. Avram zakein baba yamim. Avram pleasantly reached the age of ziknus. So the Gemara Bab Metzia says, that until Avram, there was no such thing as a zakein. You know what happened? Your hair never turned gray. It never fell out. Your muscles didn't atrophy. Your joints didn't give up on you. Your organs didn't begin to fail. Your eyesight didn't start to go. You keep going over here. This is so uplifting, no? So uplifting. You never got wrinkles. Anyone else here? Anyone else? Your hearing didn't start to go. Okay, that's enough. It's enough for today. Until Avram, all of your faculties, all of your youthfulness, all of your complexion, all of your hairline, all of your hair color, it all remained. It all remained. So why did it change with Avram? Says the Gemara, because Avram and Yitzchak looked identical. Sometimes someone thought they were talking to Avram, they were talking to Yitzchak. And sometimes someone needed to talk to Yitzchak, and they were talking to Avram. Avram came and said to Hashem, could you help out a little bit over here? I look like a teenager. I'm 100 years old, and I look like a teenager. I look the same as my son. People confuse us all the time. Can you let me age gracefully? Let me embrace aging. It's a bracha. That's why the Torah says, V'Avram zakein baba yamim. Hashem answered him in the affirmative. Growing old is a bracha. It's a bracha. Certainly when you consider the alternative, it's a bracha. It's a bracha. We have a member of the shul who in a couple of weeks is going to turn 95. Baruch Hashem bli ayin hara, he's healthy and spry and amazing and as involved in the leadership of the shul as he's ever been. Talked about maybe he should be president again. I said, what are you trying to make Joe Biden look young? What are you? He's young. So you ask him how he's doing. He says, I'm not going to die young. He's turning 95. Somebody said, he told me, somebody recently wished him, Shav Arichas Yamim, you should have a long life. He said, done. Bracha's already been fulfilled. What a bracha. So Avram Zakein Ba Bayamim. Lean into it. Don't try, you're not fooling anyone. The Botox and coloring your hair, and I'm talking to the men. You're not fooling it. The women, I'm not going near with that. You do whatever you want, whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you feel young. But you're not fooling anyone. Lean into it. Avraham Avinu davened for it. He davened for it. So embrace it. I'm not only a member I'm like the spokesman of the club. I'm the poster child of the club. So I could say this. Upshuto bira inyan shebikesh Avraham Avinu lazikna ki ad kuvas Avraham Avinu nashama yigiborei chayil. You could be 125 and you had the same vigor and the same energy and the same passion and the same drive as when you were 25 years old, 32 years old. And what happened? You were young, you weren't young. In age, you were older, but in vigor, in health, in appearance, you looked young. Pumped, abruptly a person would drop dead. There was no illness. There was no aging. They just disappeared. There was no chance to say goodbye. There was no preparation. There was no utilizing those older years to be able to transform values. You know what happens? You know what the benefit of age is? When you're young, you think you're immortal. You think you'll live forever, and you live that way. And when you get a little bit older, you start to reevaluate your priorities, reevaluate your time, the difference you want to make, the message you want to leave, the impact that you want to have, the legacy that you want to create. Zikna is a beautiful thing. Aging is a bracha. It's a bracha. And he adds, Rav Druck, that with aging, you have less of that drive and that passion and the energy and the Yetzer Hara. You're able to live a little bit more with serenity and with peace. The things that made you lose your cool when you were young, now you realize they're not so important. They're not worth losing your cool over. They're not worth forfeiting your happiness about. Zikna can be a bracha. If a person leans into it and embraces it, like Avraham Avinu davened for it, but Avram Zakein Ba Bayamim, it can be a bracha. And here, finally, we move over to some other ideas. The Rachmastrivka, the Amaros Tahoros, says the following idea. Avram Zakein Ba Bayamim, quotes the Zer Kodesh, the Rapshitzer. Afa pishik kvar haya Avram Zakein v'savei yabim im kol zeh haya nidma lo ki'ilu rak achshav heichel avodas Hashem yisborach. He has a little bit of a different idea, a different perspective. He says Avram Zakein, even though Avram is a Zakein, even though according to the calendar he's an old man, ba b'yamim mu'atim dirak mikar v'chel avodas Hashem yisborach. He came miyamim like every day was the first day. He put on his tefillin like he was a bar mitzvah boy. Avram Zakein, he might have been old in years, but he was ba bayamim. He brought the enthusiasm that every day was like a new day, the first day. He put on his tefillin like a bar mitzvah boy the very first time he was putting on tefillin. He talked his attitude to Sarah before she died. They were married, they celebrated the 80th anniversary. And he celebrated his 80th anniversary. He acted like a newlywed in Shana Rishona. He was a Zakein, but Baba Yamim, like every day was new, every day was the first. He continues the Amaras Tahoros by quoting the Abba Shalom, Avram Zakein Baba Yamim, Hashem Berachas Avram Bakol. It says, Baruch Atah B'voecha, Baruch Atah B'tzeisecha. Chazal learn, Gemara Bab Metzia, Halavai, Shetiya Yitziascha Me'olam B'lochet, K'biyascha La'olam. Halavai, a person would leave this world as pure and innocent and sin-free as when we enter it. And that's the pshat. Avraham Zakein, even when he was a Zakein, he was ba bayamim. Yitziascha kibiyascha. He was ba nisher b'tara. So even though he was a Zakein, he still was innocent and pure and sin-free. That was Avraham Avinu's greatness. Avraham Avinu's greatness. Perach Chav Daled Pasuk Yud Daled. Chav Daled Yud Daled. So now he realizes, I'm an old man. If Sarah died, who's next? It's time to make preparations. The preparations are not just meeting with the estate attorney. Preparations are not just figuring out your estate and your assets. Preparations are not about setting up your trusts, revocable and irrevocable. You're not just about calculating how much money you're leaving to Boca Raton Synagogue, generously, a lot, to Eretz Yisrael, of course. But it's about realizing the future. A shidduch. The Gedolei Yisrael left a tzavah, an ethical will. How could I leave this world, Avraham Avinu says, without seeing who Yitzchak is going to marry, who Yitzchak is going to choose, what kind of Shabbos table they're going to have, what kind of eniklach they're going to give me. How could I leave this world without going to a Chumash party? So what does he do next? He goes to set up Yitzchak. Says the pasuk, Perach of Dalad, pasuk Yudalad. He sends Eliezer, who's in charge of his household. He makes him swear. This I said, I think, last year or 2 years ago. He's Moshe, Eliezer's trusted with his whole estate. And we know that V'agadla Shemecha, V'avarechacha, Hashem made him very, very, very wealthy. He's on the Forbes 400, Avraham Avinu. And who is the CFO of his whole world? Eliezer. And when it came to Eliezer, when it comes to go finding a shidduch for Yitzchak, he makes Eliezer swear. When it came to managing his fortune, he said, here are the passwords. Here are the passwords, here are the codes, here's everything you need. Here's everything. I forgot which Gadol once observed about too many frum Jews in America. Say, when it comes to their housekeeper, they lock their jewelry in the safe, they don't trust them, but they give the children, say, you raise the children while I'll be out and away. When it should be the opposite. The safe I'll leave unlocked, but my children, here are the passwords. Swear on the Sefer Torah that you're going to take good care of them. We get it backwards. Avraham Avinu said, when it came to my assets, my things, here are the passwords, I trust you. But my son, when it comes to my son, you need to swear on the Sefer Torah. And we have it backwards. We lock the jewelry in the safe. We hide the cash in the svarim under the mattress. But the kids, we say, yeah, you raise them. You got it. You take it. You take it. We have it backwards. So Eliezer goes on this mission, and he makes a deal. The woman will say, lower your jar, your jug, and I'll drink. The should say, and she'll give me the drink and give to the camels. So that'll be the one. I'll know she's the one. She's the right one. Eliezer reaches out to Hashem. He makes this deal with Hashem. He doesn't say to Hashem, I need to see a picture on the resume. Is she a size 2? 3, 4 max. He doesn't say what's the yichus? Who is she? Who is her Zayda? Who's her Bubby? He doesn't ask for the yichus. He doesn't ask for the dress size. He doesn't say, are the parents going to support? He say, my client, my Yitzchak's one of the Mitsuyanim. They're not going 50-50. She's going to have to pay everything, all in, plus the apartment. Eliezer doesn't say any of that. What does he ask for? She's got to be kind, compassionate, giving, good, generous. She'll give me to drink and give my camels to drink, and the rest will fall into place. The money, the yichus, the dress size. And yet 2 psukim later, Eliezer now meets the one, and what does he observe about Rivka? He says, tovas mareh ma'od. So look her, she's beautiful. It's a beautiful woman. The same who a moment ago said, looks don't matter, money doesn't matter, yichus doesn't matter. Hashem, just make her generous with me and with the camels. And now fast forward, and what does Eliezer observe? Tovas mareh ma'od. She's not just tovas mareh. Tovas mareh ma'od. Magnificently beautiful. I thought he just said it's the inside that matters. So listen to the Kli Yakar. Eliezer tested Rivka's quality of generosity and kindness. Chazal say, Zok the Kli Yakar, Kol kala she'eineha yafos, ein lagufa tzarach bedika. If the bride has beautiful eyes, you don't have to look any further. The bride has beautiful eyes. You look into her eyes, they're beautiful, they're hazel, they're green. She has beautiful, sparkly eyes. You don't have to look any further? Is that going to be the new thing in Shidduchim? Don't include a picture on the resume, just her eyes. Just the eyes. her in a burqa. Just put a picture of her in a burqa. Kol kala she'inei yafos, ein la kol gufa tzarich bedika. Says the Yakar, that can't be what it means. Because there are plenty of less attractive brides. I'm reading to you from the Yakar. There are plenty, I'll read it in English, we're out of time. There are plenty of less attractive brides with beautiful eyes. And how could Chazal call for the examination of external beauty? I thought we say, Sheker Achein, Yofi. Who was that written about, by the way? The MIdrash tells us. Eshes Chayil is Avram's hesped for Sarah. You go pasuk by pasuk, each one is Avram talking about his Sarah. The MIdrash on Mishlei says this was Avram's hesped for Sarah. So here, when it comes to this Yitzchak's mother, Sheker Achein v'Havel Yofi, false is charm, vain is beauty, Isha Yiras Hashem Hitasala, that's all that matters. And now Eliezer says, true, but she's Tovas Mareh Ma'od. She's really beautiful. True, but she has beautiful eyes. I don't have to look any further. What's meant? Listen to what the Yakar says. He said, you know what it means? Kol kala she'inei yafos doesn't mean she has beautiful, sparkly eyes. It means, does she see the world generously? To have beautiful eyes means, does she have a beautiful outlook on the world? Does she see chesed opportunities? Does she see a chance to make a difference? Does she see the world as inviting her to influence it? What it means to have beautiful eyes is to have a beautiful outlook, a beautiful perspective. And that's what Eliezer is commenting. Tovas mar'eh ma'od. She has a beautiful outlook on the world. Not she's a beautiful girl, a beautiful woman. He thought that too. That's why he tried to steal her for his own son. But he means Tovas mar'eh ma'od. She has a geschmack outlook on the world. She has an incredible view. She's generous. She gives the benefit of the doubt. She sees people favorably. She loves to run to do chesed. She intuits doing kindness. She's a giver. She cares. She wants to do good. She wants to do good. And that's why the Gemara in Beitzah says, Kol merachem al abriyos b'yadua shemizara shel Avraham Avinu. This midah, this character trait, we inherit from Rivka Imenu. Kindness and generosity. That's what it means to be a Yid, to be a Jew. V'chezkel of Kuzmir, why did Eliezer still need to see Rivka pass the test about giving the camels the drink? A miracle happened. What did he observe? What happened? She bent down, and what happened? Instead of having to drop the bucket and make it to the bottom of the well and use all that energy to lift it, she saw the water rose miraculously. Eliezer should have said, good enough, seal the deal, Shadchan, we're in. But he still had to wait for her to see, you drink and your camels drink. Why? If you see Hashem himself do a miracle, you still need to see. So he answers, miracles can happen for someone. They can have tremendous emunah, but they have to do chesed. Chesed. They have to show that generosity. They have to show that kindness. They have to have that quality. They have to be willing to make a difference. Hanara tovas mar'eh ma'od. The Otzar Plos HaTorah, our good friend, our old friend coming back, the Otzar Plos HaTorah says about this. How old is Rivka when this happened? Beseder Olam Tanya, Shaya Rivka Bas, Shalosh Shalom Kishanasa Yitzchak. V'chein kasav Rashi. She was 3 years old. Ki b'shana shenakad Yitzchak dolda Rivka, because when Yitzchak was being offered on the altar is the year that Rivka was born. Yitzchak was how old? Akedas Yitzchak? 37. He waited 3 years after the Akedah to find his wife. So how old was she? 3. How can a 3-year-old go to the well? They can't even see over the wall of the well. Because the 3-year-old then was the equivalent of the 10-year-old today. That is the opinion of the MIdrash. I'll tell you a story. When one of my daughters was a little girl, 7, 8 years old, we got a call from school that she was doodling that day, not paying attention. She got in trouble. So she came home from school. I still vividly remember, Yocheved and I sat with her in the backyard, and we said, what happened in school today? We got a call. So she started crying. And she said, I got in trouble. I was doodling. I wasn't paying attention. We said, how could you doodle? How could you not pay attention? You're learning Torah. So she looked up and she said, She said, Abba, when my teacher says things that don't make sense, I stop listening. I said, what did your teacher say that didn't make any sense? She said, my teacher told me that Rivka was 3 years old when she got married. And it doesn't make sense. 3-year-olds don't get married. So my teacher is going to say silly things. I stop listening. You ever worry about your child but have nachas from them in the same moment? The truth is the burden wasn't on my daughter. Because there's a MIdrash that says it doesn't mean that's the MIdrash that we have to teach to little children. Who says that's the MIdrash you have to teach? In the information age where children have access and are told to use their logic and rational thinking, and then you're going to deposit a MIdrash that even adults have to figure out, what does it mean exactly? She was 3. Was she really 3? Was the 3 the same then as it is now? Taisvis Yevamos, in the name of Rabeinu Shmuel, Haiskarifka Bas Arba Asrei Shana. Taisvis has a tradition. She was 14 years old, and he proves it from a different cheshbon, Shmuel HaChassid. And he quotes here from the Sefer Kanfei Yonah and the Yerushalmi that quotes from, he has all these different opinions. How old was she exactly? Why am I telling you that? Because there's a lot of opinions. Where does it say that the teacher has to say she was 3? When you're 30 years old, you could learn that MIdrash and try to figure it out. But we have to use our seichel, what we teach our children also. Not every MIdrash that's going to complicate. It's also hard to picture the sea split. But those are Ikar Emunah. That's a pasuk in the Torah. And now we believe Hashem did a miracle, the sea split. It's a MIdrash she was 3. There's another MIdrash she was 14. There's another MIdrash she was a different age. Teach the MIdrash that will make children say, this makes sense to me. This is beautiful. And when they get a little bit older, you could teach the other midrashim as well. Introduced to Tfilas Mincha. There's so much. I don't think I got through 50%. Barely scratched the surface of the Parsha. It's an amazing Parsha. There's a lot more to say about it. Please stay for a few more minutes. Gordon's going to hand out the Tehillim. We can finish Tehillim together. Mirza Shem Shir Besoros Tovos.